Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the former heaven and the former earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from heaven from God, made ready as a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. I heard a loud voice from the throne say, "Look, God's dwelling is here with humankind. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. There will be no mourning, crying, or pain anymore, for the former things have passed away." The word of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
Well, first of all, with our text today, anytime you start going into that Revelation territory, it's kind of scary, isn't it? Because there's so many different ways to look at that, so many interpretations of Revelation, that sometimes just hearing that we're reading out of Revelation can be kind of scary. And so something new oftentimes is scary, isn't it? When we try something new, when we explore new things, sometimes it can be really scary, but sometimes it just might be rewarding. I remember growing up, I was the only kid in his whole Boy Scout troop that didn't have his canoe and marriage. All the other kids were just fired up about it, and they just thought, this was really cool. And I'm like, boring. So sometimes doing new things might seem scary, or they might seem boring, or they might seem like, why do I even want to bother with that? But then when I was working at a summer camp, part of staff training, and it was a pretty adventurous summer camp. So we did rock climbing and caving, and one of the things that we did was canoeing. And it was kind of fun. And it was actually so much fun that over the years I got to do a little bit more of it, and a little bit more of it. And it gave me some opportunities around the world that I couldn't have imagined beforehand. So sometimes trying these new things, whether we're forced to because we're doing a staff training, or whether there's opportunities that are presented to us that God just drops into our life. Sometimes it's worth to give it a shot and go beyond maybe the scary part of it, the scary part of doing something new, or potentially boring part of it, right? And so I think that sometimes with these small groups, they might feel a little bit that way. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure, that might be a little bit too much for me. That might be a little bit over my head. Or boring. And so that's why I want us to think about this, maybe in new and fresh ways, that maybe there's some opportunities here to where we can step into something new, maybe something that we've never done before, or maybe we have done it before and it's time to kind of refresh ourselves and start over again. To really be recreated anew in ourselves and in our spiritual lives and in our whole lives. You know, I think small groups are these thin places. Now, what I mean by thin places, I know I got a few like, oh, all right. Now, what a thin place is it's sort of a Celtic term that refers to these special places that we tend to experience God. Oftentimes we think of these literally mountaintop experiences, like you hike up on top of a mountain. A lot of people climb to the top of Everest. Not because it's there, but it's because we seek out these places really that we can explore, that we feel are places where really heaven meets earth, right? That we can more easily commune with God. These thin places are places that it draws us into deeper spiritual life. I do believe that small groups can be that they can be these love for each other and love for maybe the other, right? And so today we're going to talk a little bit about these small groups. In fact, I've printed out, and you probably have in your bulletin today, this handy-dandy little sheet that says on the front something very clever like 2019 small groups. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the opportunities that we have for spiritual growth and for nurturing our souls. And so I'm going to invite the leaders here in just a second to come up and talk a little bit about it. But each of our small groups is operating with this covenant, a group conversation covenant. No matter what our context is, whether it's in a Bible study or whether it's kayaking out on the lake. But we want to create this community covenant relationship, or whenever we speak to understand, not to necessarily convince. We will ask questions. We will speak our truth in love. We will assume trust, not suspicion. We will protect the confidentiality of others in the group. What's said in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Isn't that what they say? So what's said in small group stays in the small group. Let everyone participate, no one dominate, and allow every voice to be heard. It's an encouraging place where each one of us can share with each other. Now, John Wesley had this critical comment. We talked a little bit about it in our United Methodist Men group this morning. But John Wesley had this critical question that he loved to ask in his small groups. How is it with your soul? And that question can come from an accountability standpoint. So you've been messing up again? Or it can come from a place of support, encouragement, right? How we lift each other up, because we know we're all going to mess up from time to time. We know that we're going to go through struggles of one kind or another. And that's one of the beauties of these small groups, is that it gives us a group of friends that we can come together and build each other up. Some might say it's how we strengthen each other. And so in these small groups, they are ways that we can lift each other up. We can see how is it with each other's soul, or how are you doing? Kathy wanted me to make sure that you understand when we ask the question, how are you doing, that we don't say it like Joey would say it. How you doing? But that we ask, really, how are you doing? I know. Kathy's like, oh. And so, what I wanted to do is I wanted to give an opportunity, just a minute or so, for each of our small group leaders to talk a little bit about their small groups. And I'm going to ask Linda to start coming on up. And I'm going to change, before we start talking, Linda, I'm going to move our little camera around so we can get you completely in focus there. All right, I think we can make that work. And so, please go ahead.
Okay. If you ever went to Sunday school as a child, this is not the old-time Sunday school. It's not what it used to be. We do use a quarterly. It is very well done. We have great writers, and we delve deeply into the scriptures. True. Today's parable it was about Zacchaeus, not a parable. And we know the story of the wee little man, but it's amazing how much we learn from each other. And that's the best part of Sunday school, is the class. We love each other. We feel free to talk about whatever's on our minds. We check on each other. We love each other. We care about each other. And we're honest. We ask questions. We offer sharing. We talk about our experiences. It's just a wonderful place. We'd love to have you come and join us.
My name's Kathy Proctor, some of you know me, some of you don't. Prayer, I would say, and John Wesley might say, how's prayer with you right now? How's your prayer life? And prayer is something I absolutely love, and something I feel called to do. It's a thin place for me, but I found a little book called Nurturing a Passion for Prayer that has just touched my heart in a beautiful way. It's not about a technique. It's not about ancient techniques or modern techniques or ways to pray. It just gets at the heart of prayer in a way that has given me a much greater passion than I've had before. It's about getting intimate with God. It's just a beautiful little book that I'd love to share with you. If you're interested in that, then I'd love to pray with you and for you.
I'm coming over here because this is where all the cool kids are standing. And so I've got 3 things I want to share about today. And the first one is I'm going to start with our little prayer breakfast that we've been doing for a little while now. And we gather over at Everett Street Diner on Wednesday morning at 7:30. And that might sound early to some. It might sound a little bit late to others because you might have to get to work. But if you have the opportunity, it's a great place where we're able to kind of share with each other, to ask each other how we are doing. How are you doing in your soul, right? And so it's a wonderful time. So if you have that opportunity, please join us. We have a little devotional and pray over each other and to share quality time together. And so then we'll also I'm going to start another Bible book study, and I'm going to leave that up to the group that wants to be a part of this. We might do a Bible study. We're going to shoot for wrapping this up by the end of May. So we'll just have maybe about 8 weeks that we're going to do this. It may be shorter than that, and I've got several things that I want to share with that group so that folks maybe can pick what they want to study on. And so we're going to look at those things. Our first organizational meeting is going to be the first Sunday in April, which is, so it's 2 weeks from today, after church. We're going to meet, so Kathy's group's going to do the same thing, our group's going to do the same thing, and there'll be a couple other groups that are meeting after church to kind of set up that. And so that's what we're going to plan on doing. And then there's also, I want to speak a little bit about the hiking group. We've had a hiking group that's kind of been on again, off again, but this year it's on for sure. And the plan is to get together again in a couple weeks after worship. But then David Outlaw is the leader, and you've got his contact info in here. And he will share with you the plans. But right now, the first hike is scheduled for the first Sunday in May. And I think the get-together is more to talk about who really wants to be involved and who wants to where people want to go hiking. So those are my 3.
So most people know me as Ralph, but I've been called many other names. And I've got 3 groups I'd like to just share some info with you about. For the past 14 years, give or take, I've had the honor of being the choir leader here at this church, and it's been a real joy and something I look forward to every single day. And let me tell you a true story. A few years back, we had a combined choir event over at the Baptist church, and I walked in and sat down, and one of the Baptist brethren saw our choir coming in. He said, "Oh, good, the Methodists are here. They can read music." That's a true story. Now, you don't have to read music to be in the choir. You just have to have some joy in your heart and willingness to take a risk and go out there on a limb and sing with us. We have a lot of fun. Yes, okay, I paid them to say that. And Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, choir, we do all kinds of music, and I am totally willing to have any kind of input into the type of music and hymns that we sing. So that's one group. The second group, the Handshine group, there's a secret that you guys don't know about. I have heard more giggling and laughter and roarous joy coming out of that group because we're learning how to play hand chimes. Again, you don't have to read music. You just have to be able to count 1, 2, 3, 4. It's all about math, and you're going to hear us on Palm Sunday. You're going to hear us join with the choir and have a good time. So we practice at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, and we've got a nice little set of hand chimes, and we can always use another hand. Pardon the pun. Third group. This is a new group. It hasn't been started yet, but it's something that I'm very interested in. You might not know this, but I have an undergraduate degree in biology and in field zoology and ecology, and I have a real interest in what's going on with climate. In Genesis, God, the Creator, established a contract with us to be stewards of this perfect environment that the Creator gave us. Well, it turns out it's not so perfect anymore. Now, if that just caused you to take a deep breath, you just inhaled millions of atoms. And out of every 100 of those atoms, 70 of them are nitrogen, 20 of them are oxygen, and 1 of them was carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is a problem. And if you want to learn more about what's happening with the climate and the carbon cycle, get with me after church, and we would like to talk a little bit further about that, about how we can be stewards of God's creation. There is an event coming up in the first week of April, and it's called Faith Climate Action Week, and I have a little action packet, and if we as a congregation would like to be involved with that, I'll be glad to help facilitate it.
And I represent the United Methodist Women. Our vision is turning faith, hope, and love into action on behalf of women, children, and youth around the world. And this month, United Methodist Women is 150 years old in mission. We meet in the mornings. We meet on the first Sunday of each month at 8:30 in the fellowship hall for breakfast, fellowship, devotion, and any business that comes up in relation to the church or to activities that we need to take part in. And we meet March through November, and in December we have a big bazaar and cookie walk. You've probably been or heard about that. And the next small group is No Idle Hands, and it's an extension of Methodist Women. Jenny Keller, a former church member, did many crafts, and she started this group as a way to get craft items for the cookie walk and bazaar. And some of you know Emmeline, and she used to call us No Idle Mouse. We do a lot of talking, but we also do a lot of work. And we meet on the first and third Tuesday at 1 o'clock in the room around the corner on the left. And we'd like to invite any of you that would like to come, and all women are invited to the United Methodist Women's Breakfast.
This morning I'm representing the UMM, the United Methodist Men. You need to know that we meet every fourth Sunday so that we don't interfere with the ladies on the first Sunday or the fifth Sunday dinner when we have an extra Sunday each month. So that's the fourth Sunday each month. All men, regardless, are welcome in that group. Young, old, tall, short, fat, any color, you're all welcome. This morning, we had breakfast over at the Everett Street Diner, and it was a very nice occasion. Our meetings usually consist of a devotional, a sharing opportunity, and a breakfast, and a lot of talk, chatting. We also get up to date on the latest things going on in the church, and the latest things going on that we care to share in our lives. And it's a really good time. I enjoy it. And I think that anybody who would care to come would enjoy it, and you're all welcome. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patty.
Hi, I'm Terry.
Last year, we initiated a new outreach program, which we call Journey Quest. And last year, we had ages 4 to 70. So all ages are invited. And our mission was to be a Christ-centered adventure. And I think we set out to do that. So Journey Quest is what we call our mission. It's about glorifying God while sharing the hope of His gospel with all who come on our trips. Keeping Jesus as the focal point of our outreach ministry. We had 5 cultures represented last year: the Vietnamese, Chinese, Arabic, Hispanic, and American.
And our vision is to keep encouraging all people to share in a time of fellowship on the water and in nature, to inspire and transform our lives as we build a deeper relationship with Jesus and with others.
And our scripture that we have for our little adventure is based on Proverbs 27:19.
As water reflects the face, one's life reflects the heart.
We have a lot of information down here. We have some cards with the times and the locations. The last 2 may change as far as our destinations, depending when they decide to drop the lake. And we do meet back here in the back parking lot. Everyone is welcome, all age, creed, sex. We don't care. We'll take all of you because we love you all.
And if you don't have equipment, that's okay. We've got some we can loan you. So we've got extra boat too. You don't have to just get a jacket and a paddle. But they're very friendly kayaks, and they're very stable, so they won't roll over, and you can't do flips with them and jump out of the water with them and stuff. If you want those, you'll have to see Wayner. But we've got the real steady ones for getting out on the lake, which is where we generally go, is on the lake.
And for those who do not want to kayak but love to eat, we will have fellowship afterwards. We have a big cookout, so if you want to bring your guitar or whatever instrument or your voice, we have a devotion and prayer as well, and some music. So everyone, if you don't want to get in the water and get wet, you still can eat with us.
We can still party.
Okay, and the second group is called the Glory Stream Players. And this is the brainstorm of Jim Gribble and Shirley Waters, and they was gracious enough to invite Ken and myself to come and play with them. This is a group that meets on Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and we play around in the area. If you don't like playing strings, bring your voice. We are just an open group that likes to go around and just be blessed by the fact that God has given us a gift. And so we play at the nursing facility, so if you're interested, meet here Wednesday afternoons around 5 o'clock here in the back Sunday school room. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christine Colcord, and Rick and I are going to try and do a campfire group right out here behind the Restoration House. And I think our first one will be on April the 13th and about 7-ish. It's a really kind of loose, kind of like if you come and go, We'll have the fire ready, and if you want to bring a marshmallow, you can, or an instrument to play. We might have some singing, but just sharing how our week was and how it is with your soul. And we'll probably do it the second Saturday of each month through October until it gets too cold.
Thanks, Christine. And so there you have it. That's what we have on tap for this year. So hopefully there's something or maybe more than one thing. Maybe you're like, I want to go to them all. You might have to decide which ones you want to go to. So what we're going to do after the service is over today is we're going to invite our group leaders to come up, and we're all going to be up here and in front of the sanctuary to answer any questions that you might have about some of the groups that we talked about this morning, or anything else. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little opportunity, we're going to put a little info board up here. So if you've got another group that maybe we haven't even thought of, you're like, wow, I wonder if they've thought about doing this. And if you want to propose a group and maybe lead one or co-lead one, we can figure that out too. So any ideas, feel free to post them here, or maybe it's something that we do in the fall. But anyway, we're open to many ways to gather together and lift each other up spiritually and as a faith family. So we ask that after the service that you would please come up and give us your thoughts on that. So, but for now, I think we're ready to sing our final hymn.